Hi, welcome to our countdown wise day 93. And today I will tell you, the reasons why we tend to see gaps in our relationship. And I actually got, inspired to do this video because yesterday when I went for a walk, as I was, just about to enter the park, I saw that an elderly couple was coming out, and grandfather had his granddaughter in his lap, and she must be about 3.5 years of age, not more than that. And she was crying because there was this ice cream vendor standing there, and she was wanting an ice cream, and grandparents were not in favor of giving her the ice cream, so she was crying. And grandfather told his granddaughter two things which caught my attention, and I thought I will bring that to you because that's extremely significant. Grandfather said, number one, he said, come on, don't cry. Good girls don't cry. You're a good girl, right? Have you seen good girl crying? No good girl cries, and you are such a wonderful good girl. That's one thing he said. She didn't stop crying after that. But then he said second sentence, and his second sentence was, uh, look around. Is there anybody crying? Do you see any girl, any boy, anybody in the park? Is anybody crying? Nobody is crying. And the moment he said this, she immediately stopped crying and she started to look all around. Okay. Now, what connection does this have on our relationships? This is how most of us have been brought up with: good, bad, good girl, good boy, bad boy. Now when this happens and we have been brought up, what we do is that in our relationships we tend to become that good person in our relationship. So if somebody says you are not a good girl, or become a good girl, or a good boy, if you're not doing this, then you become a bad boy. If you're doing this, you become a good girl, right? So this good and bad gets into us, right? And there have been so many instances where our parents, our elder siblings, our neighbors, our teachers might have made us bad, right? In that case, we have absorbed a lot of why we are bad. We have absorbed a lot of we need to be good. Okay. So after you get into a partnership or a relationship, you realize that if there is some kind of a criticism from your spouse, some kind of a criticism from your extended family, right, especially after marriage, suddenly that kind of a memory along with those emotions shows up, and you are consciously not aware of it. But then this child inside you is saying, oh, you got to be a good boy or a good girl. In order to prove yourself to be a good partner, good human, good girl, or a good boy, you start to give in a lot into the relationship just to get that tag of good, right? Which means to get the tag of appreciation, to get the tag of, yes, you are perfect, you're great, you're awesome, you're wonderful. And we tend to have or want this tag over and over again, over and over again. You might be getting it, but you still want more because you want to prove, you want to, you're time and again wanting to prove, I am a good girl or I am a good boy. So when one partner gives in too much into the relationship, he or she in a way has said that you are the priority, I am not. So then you have prioritized your partner over you by trying to prove and by trying to give in, so that you are called a good wife or a good husband or a good friend or whatever. Now that's how this impacts your relationship. I'll come to what do you do about it after the second point. Second point grandfather said was, nobody is crying, right? So in a very subtle way, unknowingly, I mean, parents, grandparents, they have great good intention, but they don't know the impact it is leaving on the child. So when he says nobody's crying, there is comparison happening. So, like this, unknowingly, even parents start to compare. Now, when that comparison happens, the child is assimilating the fact that he or she is being compared, whether for good reasons or for bad reasons. That comparison begins. So, child begins to compare, and that also gets seated in the subconscious mind. When you grow up and you get into a relationship, you start to compare. X person's, I mean, my friend's husband is so nice, my friend's wife is so nice, they are such a wonderful couple, she does so much for her husband, my wife doesn't do so much, her husband does so much, your husband doesn't do as much. Okay, they go out on vacations, he takes care of her, but your husband doesn't take care of you. That kind of a comparison happens again and again in your mind, and you start to live up to fulfill the demands that that comparison makes. So what do you end up doing in a relationship? You end up doing two things: proving yourself to be good again and again, and comparison is happening, so you are wanting to rise to the level where people start looking up to you, and in comparisons you stand up and as compared to others, right? Or you try to maintain or reach up to that level which other couples are showing. Now this creates a lot of struggle in the relationship, because none of the partners, for either a wife or a husband, it is not possible to be living up to the way you are demanding either appreciation or wanting your partner to become something, so that the comparison feels justified to you. Okay, now if this is happening, and this is, all of us have been brought up with these kind of issues, so how do you deal with it? As far as good and bad is concerned, what is good and bad? Good and bad is judgment, right? So as far as good and bad is concerned, means you have taught your children, or you have been taught to judge. For you not to judge, this one activity is, you got to accept things the way they are without any judgment. Now, bringing it directly into your relationship might sound little difficult. So, what you're going to do is, you are going to do basics to understand if you're judging something. Say, for instance, your maid has come and done the cleaning, and you realize, one part of your, maybe, your table, or one part of your drawing room, she has not dusted properly. So when you go to that part, and you suddenly realize, oh, you just put your finger and see, okay, there is so much of dust here, she's just finished her work and gone, and I can see the dust here. Immediately the judgment comes into the mind. Very commonly the thought that will come to your mind is, oh my god, I have explained to her so much, but she is such a dumb woman that she does not understand. Pardon me for this, but this is how we tend to say. Now when you're saying this, that she's such a horrible woman, she has no IQ, she does not understand, she does not listen, this is judgment, right? And notice that when you are judging, how are you feeling inside? So if you've criticized your maid like this in your head, do you feel good after that? You don't, right? So judgment is something which will always make you feel unresourceful and negative. Okay, so next time you see that, suppose maid has gone and she's not cleaned one part, look at that part and say, okay, this part is not cleaned, that's it. Stop there. It is a fact that that area is not clean enough. Stop there and check yourself. Become aware if you're saying something else also. So with practice, when you do this, you will stop judging yourself. Okay, now you've gone to buy vegetables. Another example, you've gone to buy vegetables and they're not as fresh, so you look at the vegetables and you say, okay, not these the vegetables don't look as fresh. Stop. That's a fact that vegetables are not fresh. But then saying that, this vendor is, he is just wanting to mint money and he never gets fresh vegetables, always, he's having that second grade vegetables, and I mean, I just don't know what to do. Or I am such a individual. I could not come in the morning. I'm always coming in the evening, and look, I always end up getting what is left over. That's also judgment of your situation, judgment of yourself, and in the scenario of vendor, judgment about the vendor as well. You feel horrible. They are not fresh. You may want to buy, you may not want to buy. That's okay. So catch yourself, become aware if you are judging either something, some situations, some people, your own self. That is what you will do in your very, minor, not so significant activities, not in the relationship initially, but when you start to do with situations or with, these things, then over time your awareness will go to the level when you're judging somebody in your relationship, in your circle of friends or family. Automatically it will come to your mind and you will stop, which will impact your relationships, right? That is one. And second is about comparison. First things first, if you have children, I would say begin from there, because parents have this tendency to compare their children with others, right? So stop that comparison, start with your children. When you're interacting with children, do not compare them with anybody else. At the second level, you will start to work on yourself in terms of comparison, which means if a colleague of yours has been, say a batchmate of yours, both of you were together in the school, and now you realize that person has made more progress than you. So instead of making that comparison, you would just look at yourself, and who were you and what kind of person were you about 6 months back? If there is a change in what you were and what you are today, that is progress, that is success. Okay. So all the comparison that has to happen. You're going to be comparing yourself to yourself in terms of time, what you were yesterday and what you are today. Is there an improvement, right? There is an improvement. Yes, pat yourself in the back. There is no need to compare with anybody else. Okay. When you stop comparing yourself, when you stop comparing your children, you start your activities with this, you will realize you will stop comparing your partner with anybody else. You will be able to see your partner stand alone, and then there is a lot that you will, you will have a lot of insights. Okay. So these are the two things I wanted to tell you for today, because when I went for a walk, I thought, this is so significant, and I actually wanted to, speak with grandfather to say that don't talk like that. But then I thought it's no point, because he will think that I'm a mad woman. So I just kept quiet. But I thought I'll bring this to you. So as far as comparison is concerned, and as far as judgment is concerned, if you can work on these two aspects based on what I have just mentioned, you will see a marked change in yourself. You will see a marked change in the way you see the outside world, and hence you will see a marked change in your relationships. Very firstly, you will see a marked change in your relationship with your own self. Okay. And that is what matters the most. So that's all from me to you. And should you have any questions, please write in the comment box, write to me otherwise as well. And I'm going to be taking up in the live video. Thank you so much for watching this. And I would, every time, I would request you to just get up, pull your socks, get going, take action. Blessings, miracles come in the form of opportunities. Utilize this opportunity that you have, where I am hand holding you, giving you that time, happy to answer your queries so that you can start on that path. All right. And then going further, if you need help, then we will see how that needs to be done. But at least begin your journey. Okay. All right. Then I'm going to be seeing you tomorrow 3:30. You take care and bye.